The spring sunlight streaming through Le Petit Déjeuner's windows catches Madison's enormous engagement ring, sending prisms dancing across our brunch table. My sister's hand flutters as she describes her dream Napa Valley wedding venue, each movement calculated to showcase the 3-carat diamond. Mother sits beside her, cutting her Belgian waffle into precise squares while maintaining that practiced smile I've known all my life, the one that means she's about to ask for something. Father checks his Rolex again. Third time in 5 minutes. "Let's get down to business," he announces, interrupting Madison's detailed description of wine cave dinner receptions. "We have the preliminary budget prepared." My coffee cup pauses halfway to my lips as Mother slides a thick folder across the white tablecloth. The restaurant's chandeliers cast gentle light on the gold-embossed wedding planner logo. "Go ahead, take a look," Mother urges, her voice honey-sweet. Madison's been working with the most exclusive wedding coordinator in Napa. I set my cup down and open the folder. Numbers march down the page in neat columns. Venue rental, catering, flowers, band, wedding planner fees. My throat tightens as I reach the bottom line. $240,000? The words scrape past my lips. "A bargain, really," Madison chimes in. "You should see what some of the other venues charge." Father clears his throat, straightening his tie. "Your mother and I will cover half, as parents should. We need you to contribute the other half." The room tilts sideways. "You want me to pay $120,000? You can afford it now." Madison's voice takes on that wheedling tone she perfected in childhood. "You're doing so well at Franklin West Capital." A memory slams into me. Standing in our kitchen 6 years ago, my University of Pittsburgh acceptance letter clutched in trembling hands. Father's voice, cold as January steel. "You're not college material. We won't waste money on something you'll quit." Mother had nodded along, hands clasped at her chest. "Madison has the academic mind, sweetheart. You're more practical." I'd offered to sign a contract, promised to repay every penny with interest. Researched student loans, prepared spreadsheets proving I could manage the debt. Father's response had been final. "We don't lend money. It's a matter of principle." Now I place my coffee cup precisely on its saucer, focusing on the small clink of porcelain meeting porcelain. "Why do you need my money specifically?" "Because you're family." Madison's voice carries a note of impatience, as if I'm being deliberately obtuse. "And honestly, you owe us this. You've barely contributed to any family event since you got that big promotion." Mother's fingers drum against the table. "We've already put down deposits on the venue and several vendors. Non-refundable deposits." The words hit like individual punches. They'd planned this ambush, counted on my money without even asking. Just like they'd planned my future without asking, decided my limitations without evidence. I hear my voice emerge, quiet and steady. "6 years ago, when I begged you to help me go to college, what did you say, Father?" His jaw tightens. Mother's practiced smile slips. "You said you don't lend money, that it was a matter of principle." Each word falls like ice into the sunlit space between us. "You said I wasn't worth the investment." "That was completely different," Mother interjects, flustered. "This is Madison's wedding, your sister's special day. And my education wasn't special?" The calm in my voice surprises even me. "My dreams didn't matter?" "Now see here." Father's face flushes red above his collar. "You've turned out fine without college. Better than fine. So I'd say we were right about that, weren't we? You should be grateful. I don't lend money." The words taste like victory on my tongue. "It's a matter of principle." Madison's mouth drops open. "You can't be serious." "I am." I stand, smoothing my skirt. "And since you've already put down those non-refundable deposits, I suggest you start looking for alternate funding sources." Renee Miller. Father's voice cracks like a whip. "Sit down, we're not finished here." I pick up my purse, letting the familiar weight center me. "Yes, we are. The Bank of Renee is permanently closed to this family, just like the Bank of Mom and Dad was closed to me 6 years ago." I turn and walk away, my heels clicking against the hardwood floor. Behind me, Madison's voice rises in protest. Mother calls my name, and Father's chair scrapes back. But I don't stop. "Don't turn around." The maitre d' opens the door with a small bow. Spring sunshine wraps around me like a blanket. For the first time in years, the weight of seeking my parents' approval lifts from my shoulders. They made their choice 6 years ago. Today, I made mine. My phone buzzes as I reach my car. A text from Madison. You're ruining everything. I already told everyone about the wine cave reception. I silence my phone and start the engine. The future stretches before me, bright and clear, and finally, completely my own. Days pass in the office and clients and meetings. But a week later, my aunt's call changed everything. Out at my aunt's house, Aunt Carol's hands tremble as she slides the manila folder across her antique coffee table. I found these when cleaning out Dad's study last week. Her floral perfume, unchanged since my childhood, fills the space between us. You deserve to know. The folder's edges show wear, yellowed with age. Inside, statements from Cleveland First Bank span years' monthly reports for the Miller Children's Educational Trust. My throat closes. Children's, as in plural? Aunt Carol nods, twisting her wedding band. The sunlight through her living room windows catches the modest diamond so different from Madison's 3-carat showpiece. Your parents opened it when you were born, equal amounts for both girls. Numbers blur before my eyes. Regular deposits, steady growth, enough for 2 full college educations. Where did it go? The words scrape past my lips. Madison's nil tuition, her apartment in Manhattan, that summer program in Paris. Aunt Carol's voice drops. They told everyone you chose not to go to college. That you wanted to start working right away. The room spins. Madison knew. All those years of watching me fight for a chance at higher education, she knew about the money that should have been mine. My phone buzzes. Another text from Madison. You're destroying this family. Mom hasn't stopped crying since brunch. I silence the phone, tucking it away. Who else knows? Your grandfather figured it out last year. That's why he sold the RV. Aunt Carol pulls out another document, a bank receipt. He wanted to help you, but your father blocked the transfer. Said it would undermine their parenting decisions. A knock at the front door makes us both jump. Through the window, I spot Grandpa Joe's weathered pickup in the driveway. He enters without waiting for an answer, his presence filling the room like it always has. Heard about that fancy brunch? His voice carries the gravel of 50 years of construction work. Your daddy's always been good at spending other people's money. My laugh comes out hollow. They won $120,000 for Madison's wedding. After what they pulled with your college fund? He settles into his favorite armchair, the leather creaking. That girl needs a reality check, not a wine cave reception. My phone lights up. Mom this time. We raised you better than this. Your sister deserves her dream wedding. They're spreading their version already. I show them the messages, making me sound ungrateful. Truth's got a way of coming out. Grandpa Joe's eyes, sharp despite his 78 years, fix on mine. Question is, you ready for the fight? Before I can answer, my work phone chimes. Janet Parker, my mentor at Franklin West Capital. Got a minute? Heard through the grapevine about some family drama. Been there, survived that. Let's grab coffee. Your parents will try to isolate you, Aunt Carol warns. They're already telling people you've gotten too big for your roots since the promotion. A text from my cousin Bethany pops up. What's your problem with Madison? She's literally crying about her ruined wedding plans. Let them talk. The words come out stronger than I feel. I'm done playing their game. Grandpa Joe nods, pride flickering across his weathered features. About time somebody stood up to Robert's bullying. Man's been running this family like his own personal bank for too long. My phone keeps lighting up. Church members asking about honoring thy parents. Relatives offering to mediate. Madison's bridesmaids suggesting I'm jealous of her happiness. But something's different now. The weight of seeking their approval has lifted, replaced by a strange lightness. I think of my office overlooking Lake Erie, the promotion I earned through pure merit, the life I've built without their help. You know what the worst part is? I trace the edge of the bank statements. They'll never admit what they did. They'll rewrite history until I'm the villain who ruined Madison's perfect day. Then let them. Aunt Carol's voice carries steel I've never heard before. You've got the truth now, and us. Grandpa Joe pulls out his wallet, extracting a faded photo. Remember this? It's me at 17, clutching my robotics team trophy. Dad had refused to attend the competition, said I was wasting time that could be spent learning practical skills. College material. Grandpa Joe taps the photo. Always were. They just couldn't see past their golden child. My phone buzzes again. Madison. You're too good for this family now, aren't you? Guess all that money went to your head. I think of the college fund that should have been half mine. Of Madison watching me beg for educational scraps while she enjoyed Manhattan views. Of my parents spreading lies about my choices to protect their narrative. The anger rises clean and sharp, burning away the last traces of doubt. I stand, gathering the documents. Thank you, both of you, for telling me the truth. What will you do? Aunt Carol asks. I smooth my skirt, check my reflection in her mirror. The woman looking back isn't the girl who once begged for crumbs of parental approval. I'm going to let them live with their choices. My voice comes out calm, certain, just like they forced me to live with theirs. Grandpa Joe rises, pulling me into a fierce hug that smells of Old Spice and woodshop. Sunday dinners at my house from now on, let them have their wedding planning. My phone lights up one final time. A message from Sarah, my best friend since 3rd grade. They're telling everyone you've changed. Yeah, you have. You got stronger. I walk out into the spring sunshine, the folder of proof tucked safely in my bag. Behind me, the door closes on decades of lies. Ahead, the truth stretches bright and clean, a road all my own. Let them talk. I know who I am now. And I'm done asking permission to exist. At the present, at my office 3 weeks later, the social media notification pops up on my phone screen. Linda Miller shared a post. My thumb hovers over the preview. After 3 weeks of radio silence following the brunch confrontation, Mother has resorted to her favorite weapon, the court of public opinion. When did children stop honoring their parents? So heartbroken to see the values we instilled being thrown away for material gain. The comments roll in beneath her post. Church ladies offering prayer hands emojis. Family friends expressing shock and dismay. Uncle Roger writing a paragraph about ungrateful millennials. I set my phone face down on my desk at Franklin West Capitol, focusing on the steady hum of market data, scrolling across my dual monitors. Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't manipulate. Numbers don't post passive-aggressive screeds on Facebook. Renee? Janet Wu, my boss, stands in my office doorway. Got a minute? I follow her into her corner office, where Lake Erie stretches slate gray beneath October clouds. Janet gestures for me to sit, then closes the door. Your Miller Tech analysis was spot on. That acquisition prediction? She pauses, studying my face. But you look like someone just shorted your whole portfolio. The laugh that escapes sounds hollow even to my ears. Family drama, nothing that affects work. Janet leans back. Would this drama involve a certain wedding that half of Cleveland society is buzzing about? Heat crawls up my neck. Madison's been talking. Your sister called our mutual friend Caroline Bishop. Apparently you're punishing the family by refusing to contribute to her wedding fund. Janet's lips quirk. Caroline mentioned it at tennis last weekend, thinking I should know what a difficult employee I have. My stomach clenches. Janet, Stop. She holds up one manicured hand. You know what I told Caroline? That my own mother refinanced her house 3 times to put my brother through medical school. Meanwhile, I worked as a grocery clerk to put myself through community college. Her dark eyes hold mine. Some families think daughters are investments, others think we're ATMs. The knot in my chest loosens slightly. How did you handle it? I built my own empire. Janet gestures at her office. Success is the best revenge, especially when they come asking for loans. She picks up her coffee mug. Take tomorrow off. You've earned a mental health day. Back at my desk, another notification blinks. A text from Reverend Phillips. Your parents are very concerned. Perhaps we should meet to discuss honoring thy father and mother? I type back. Thank you for your concern. My relationship with my parents is a private matter. The texts and calls keep coming. Madison's bridesmaids expressing their disappointment. Aunts offering to mediate. Cousins suggesting I stop being difficult. But their words hold less power now. My apartment may be small, but the view of Lake Erie makes every mortgage payment worth it. My emergency fund could cover 6 months of expenses. My investment portfolio grows steadily. Every paycheck proves Father wrong about my capabilities. Friday evening, I arrive at my parents' house. Mother's roses line the front walk, perfectly pruned. Father's Lexus gleams in the driveway beside Madison's Range Rover. My sister's face fills Father's iPad screen on the dining room table. She's wearing pearls, her makeup precise, playing the part of the wounded bride. Sit down, Renee. Father's voice carries that familiar note of command, the one that used to make me shrink into myself. I remain standing. We've prepared a presentation. Mother clicks through PowerPoint slides listing everything they've done for me. Private high school. Dance lessons. My first Kara used Honda while Madison got a new BMW. You had advantages many children only dream of, Father concludes. Now it's time to show gratitude. Gratitude. The word tastes bitter. Let's talk about what you didn't do. I pull out my own tablet, open a spreadsheet. College tuition for Madison at NYU. $160,000. Monthly allowance during college. $2,000. Down payment on her first condo. $50,000. Total investment in Madison's future. Approximately $300,000. Mother's fingers twist in her lap. Father's jaw tightens. Investment in my future. $0. Zero opportunities. Zero belief in my potential. Each word lands like a stone in still water. You never saw me as worth investing in. Now you don't get to demand returns. That's not fair. Madison's voice crackles through the iPad speaker. I needed that support. You're just jealous because I had a plan and you didn't. I had a plan. My voice remains steady. I had a 4.0 GPA. I had scholarship offers. I had early acceptance to University of Pittsburgh's business program. What I didn't have was parents who believed in me. We made the best decision for you, Mother interjects. You weren't ready for. I've already set up college funds for my future children. The words stop them cold. Because I never want them to feel what I felt, to hear they're not worth investing in, to watch their sibling get everything while they get nothing. Silence fills the room like smoke. And since we're discussing investments, I meet Father's eyes. Grandpa Joe named me executor of his estate last month. He said he wants someone who understands the value of education managing his legacy. The color drains from Father's face. Mother's coffee cup rattles against its saucer. You're bluffing, Madison snaps. Grandpa would never. Call him and ask. I gather my things. I have the papers to prove it. Just like I have records of every conversation, every financial decision, every example of favoritism from the past 10 years. My hand rests on the doorknob. So here's my final answer. I don't owe you anything. Not money, not explanations, not even this conversation. I walk out of my childhood home for what might be the last time. The evening air carries the scent of Mother's roses, sweet and cloying. But beneath it, I catch the fresh breeze off Lake Erie. Clean. Free. Mine. My phone buzzes, a text from Sarah. Still on for Sunday brunch with the chosen family crew? I smile, typing back. Wouldn't miss it. Sometimes the family you choose matters more than the family you're born into. And sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation, it's living well, investing in yourself, and proving them wrong with every breath you take. Later that day at home, the keyboard clicks echo through my home office as I type the final sentence of my email to the extended family. My finger hovers over the send button while the rising sun paints Lake Erie in shades of amber. 6 years of silence ends with this message. To my family, you deserve to know the truth about why I won't fund Madison's wedding. The facts flow in clean, measured paragraphs. My University of Pittsburgh acceptance. The robotics team championships Father never attended. The college fund that vanished into Madison's NYU necessities. Each word strikes like a hammer on steel, forging truth from years of carefully crafted lies. A text from Madison lights up my phone. If you send that email, you'll destroy Mom and Dad's reputation at church. The threat slides off me like water. Let the truth destroy what needs destroying. I press send. Within hours, the family phone tree blazes with responses. Aunt Catherine forwards Dad's rambling defensive email where he claims I chose manual labor over college. Uncle Robert sends screenshots of Mom's Facebook post about ungrateful children who forget their upbringing. Madison's bridesmaids share her tearful Instagram story about sisters who abandoned family in times of need. But they miscalculated. Cousin Jennifer calls first. I found your old robotics competition photos, the ones where you won state finals. Dad said you never had any academic interests. Then Great Aunt Susan. Your mother told me you refused their college money because you wanted to work retail. I had no idea they spent your fund on Madison's apartment. The church gossip mill grinds in unexpected directions. Mrs. Peterson from the prayer chain forwards an email thread where mom tried rallying support against me. But the responses focus on how a good Christian mother could deny one daughter an education while spoiling another. Madison's wedding vendors start asking uncomfortable questions. The Napa Valley venue requests proof of funds after a credit check. The wedding planner drops subtle hints about scaling back expectations. 3 bridesmaids back out, citing the cost of cross-country flights. My phone buzzes with a number I haven't seen in years. Dr. Williams, my high school physics teacher. I kept your college application essay, she says without preamble. The one about using robotics to teach STEM to underprivileged kids. I'm sending it to your grandfather. He should see what they prevented you from achieving. The local business journal runs a profile on Franklin West Capital's rising stars. My photo appears above a quote about determination and self-made success. Dad's business associates start asking questions about why his daughter needed student loans when he drives a new Mercedes. Grandpa Joe hosts a family reunion. Madison and our parents decline, citing wedding preparations. 30 relatives attend. The photo album comes out, and suddenly everyone notices the pattern. Madison's lavish Sweet 16 while I worked 2 jobs, her new car while I took the bus, her spring break trips while I stayed home. Your father always said you weren't interested in college, Grandma says, steel in her voice. Funny how that story changes when the proof comes out. More cracks appear. Madison's friends whisper about her 5-figure wedding dress while she still has student loan debt. The church finance committee questions Dad's business practices. Mom's prayer group starts meeting without her. My phone chimes again. A text from Madison. The venue canceled. Said something about financial verification failure. This is all your fault. I pour a glass of wine and watch the sunset paint the lake crimson. Let them rage against the truth. I earned my peace one client account at a time, one promotion after another, while they built their life on lies. A certified letter arrives from Dad's lawyer, demanding I cease and desist spreading malicious falsehoods about family matters. I forward it to my own attorney without opening it. The truth stands on its own evidence. Grandpa Joe sends a group text to the extended family. Family reunion photo album's been digitized. Interesting how some memories look different in hindsight. Anyone want copies? 30 relatives respond. Yes. Madison's final text arrives at midnight. Mom and Dad took out loans in our names for the business. I knew but never told you. Please don't look into it. But I already have. The lake mirrors the stars as I forward the evidence to my lawyer. Sometimes the best revenge isn't a counterattack. It's simply bringing darkness into light. Truth by truth. Lie by lie. Until nothing remains but what's real. The morning sunlight floods my corner office at Franklin West Capital, painting golden rectangles across the mahogany desk where I've arranged the documents in precise rows. 6 years of bank statements. Credit reports. Loan applications with forged signatures. Each paper represents another brick in the wall of evidence I've built. My phone vibrates. Sarah's text appears. They just passed security. Heading up. I straighten my charcoal pencil skirt and check my reflection in the window. The woman staring back bears little resemblance to the teenager who once begged for college tuition. Her eyes hold steel now, not tears. The elevator chimes. Through the glass wall, I watch them march down the hallway like an invasion force. Father leads, his Brooks Brothers suit crisp despite the June humidity. Mother follows, clutching her Hermes bag like a shield. Madison trails behind, her Jimmy Choos clicking a staccato rhythm against marble floors. Renee. Father bursts through my office door without knocking. This nonsense ends today. I remain seated, one hand resting on the stack of documents. Please, come in. Mother perches on the edge of a visitor's chair, while Madison hovers near the window. Father remains standing, towering over my desk. We've prepared legal documents. He slaps a thick folder onto my blotter. You'll sign them today. I open the folder, scan the first page. A promissory note for $120,000 plus damages? Plus emotional distress. Madison's voice wavers. Do you know how many people I had to uninvite from the wine cave reception? The deposit alone. You're going to sign. Father jabs his finger at the signature line. You owe us this much for raising you. A knock at my door. Stan Richards enters, his rumpled suit and wire-rimmed glasses making him look more like a professor than Father's attorney friend. Now see here, young lady. Stan adjusts his glasses. Your parents have documented evidence of verbal contracts. Actually, I press the intercom button. Could you join us now? The door opens again. Victoria Chen strides in, her Louboutin and tailored suit radiating corporate law confidence. I'm Victoria Chen, Miss Miller's attorney. I believe you were about to discuss verbal contracts? Father's face flushes. This is a family matter. Then let's discuss family. I open the first folder. Like these credit cards opened in my name while I was in high school. Or these student loans taken out under Madison's social security number without her knowledge. I meet my sister's wide eyes. Though you knew about those later, didn't you, Madison? She sinks into a chair. They said they'd pay them off before. Before what? I spread out more documents. Before the identity theft was discovered? Before the statute of limitations expired? Before I had proof of your complicity? Mother's fingers clutch her purse tighter. We were trying to help. By committing fraud? Victoria's voice cuts like a blade. Identity theft? Wire fraud? Tax evasion? Stan tugs at his collar. Now, these allegations aren't allegations. I push forward a USB drive. They're documented facts, including recorded conversations where you admitted to taking out these loans. Did you know Ohio is a one-party consent state for recordings, Father? The color drains from his face. Here are your options. I fold my hands on the desk. Drop all demands regarding Madison's wedding. Sign these papers acknowledging the fraudulent loans and agreeing to repay them in full. Or, I let the silence stretch. I press charges. You wouldn't dare, Father's voice cracks. Your own parents. The same parents who said I wasn't college material? Who spent my college fund on Madison's NYU shopping sprees? The calm in my voice surprises even me. Try me. Madison burst into tears. I never meant. They said it was temporary. Stan. Father turns to his friend. Tell her she can't. Actually. Stan removes his glasses, polishing them with a handkerchief. Given the evidence Miss Miller has gathered, I strongly advise you to accept her terms. Security is waiting outside. I press the intercom again. They'll escort you to the conference room to sign the papers, or to the lobby, depending on your choice. Mother stands, her perfect makeup cracking along with her composure. How could you do this to your family? I learned from the best. I open another folder. Remember what you told me about college loans, Father? That you don't lend money as a matter of principle? 2 security guards appear in the doorway. Father's shoulders slump, authority crumbling like a sandcastle at high tide. The conference room. His voice barely carries. We'll sign. Madison stays. I close the folders. She and I need to discuss her student loan payments. They file out, Mother's sniffles echoing down the hall. Madison remains crumpled in her chair, mascara tracing black rivers down her cheeks. Why? Her whisper carries years of golden child entitlement. Why now? I walk to the window, watching the city stretch toward Lake Erie. Because sometimes the only way to heal a wound is to clean it completely. I turn back to her, even when it hurts. The sun catches my reflection again. This time, I see both versions of myself, the wounded teenager and the woman who finally set her free. Both of us smiling. At the present, the evening sun paints my corner office in amber and gold, a daily reward for surviving another 14-hour day at Franklin West Capital. 6 months after that fateful brunch, my promotion to senior portfolio manager came with a view of Lake Erie that still takes my breath away. I adjust a framed photo on my desk, Grandpa Joe standing proud beside his gleaming RV, the one he secretly sold to help fund my first semester of night classes. The memory of discovering what he'd done still brings tears to my eyes. But tonight, those tears sparkle with victory instead of regret. My phone buzzes. Sarah's message lights up the screen. Final head count for Thursday's dinner party? Linda from accounting asked if she could bring her famous apple pie. A smile tugs at my lips as I type back. Tell her yes. My chosen family deserves all the pie they want. The quarterly reports spread across my desk can wait. I gather my things, sliding my laptop into its leather case, a gift from my team after I landed the Peterson account. The elevator descends 42 floors, each number bringing me closer to home. My home. The thought still thrills me. The spring evening wraps around me as I walk the 3 blocks to my building. Cleveland's lights flicker to life, stars emerging in the urban twilight. My heels click against the polished marble of my lobby, and Thomas the doorman tips his hat. "Evening, Miss Miller. Package came for you." He hands me a thick cream envelope, the return address making my heart skip. University of Pittsburgh Office of Admissions. Inside, I find a letter confirming my appointment to their business school advisory board and an invitation to speak at next month's graduation ceremony. The irony doesn't escape me. My apartment welcomes me with the soft glow of sunset through floor-to-ceiling windows. I kick off my heels, pad across hardwood floors to the kitchen, and pour a glass of Pinot Noir. The silence feels like a warm blanket, no drama. No manipulation, no walking on eggshells. Another text arrives. This time from my cousin Jennifer. "Got your RSVP for my wedding. Can't wait to see you and the grandparents there. No pressure, but if you want to catch up before then." I smile, typing back. "Lunch next week? My treat." The walls of my home office showcase my journey. Series 7 license, graduate certificates from night school, awards from Franklin West. But the centerpiece is a shadow box containing a rusty robotics competition medal from high school. The one achievement my parents never bothered to attend. My laptop chimes with an incoming email. A young analyst at my firm, her message tentative. "Miss Miller, could I get your advice? My parents are pressuring me about my career choices, and I heard you might understand." Setting down my wine glass, I begin typing. "Let's meet for coffee tomorrow morning. I know a great little place." The doorbell rings at 7 sharp. Sarah arrives with takeout containers of Thai food, followed by my grandparents bearing a homemade chocolate cake. Linda from accounting appears minutes later, her promised apple pie still warm. "The table's set on the balcony," I tell them, leading the way outside. Lake Erie stretches before us, painted in sunset colors. String lights twinkle overhead, my own little piece of stars brought down to earth. Grandma squeezes my hand as we sit. "I saw Madison's wedding photos on Facebook. The vineyard looked smaller than planned." "I heard they ended up at that local winery instead of Napa," Sarah adds, passing the pad thai. "Your mother's bridge club must have been scandalized." I shrug, the movement light and free. Not my circus anymore. We eat and laugh as twilight deepens into night. My grandfather raises his glass in a toast to my brilliant granddaughter who proved them all wrong. Tears prick my eyes, but I lift my glass high. To the man who sold his dream RV because he believed in me. Later, after the dishes are cleared and my chosen family has gone home, I stand at my bedroom window. The city sparkles below, a testament to all the dreams that find their way despite the odds. My reflection in the glass shows both versions of Metha, uncertain teenager clutching a college rejection letter, and the woman who built her own success story brick by brick. My phone lights up one last time. A text from Madison. "I understand now. What they did. What I did. I'm sorry." I let the message sit unanswered, a bridge I'm not ready to cross. Tomorrow I'll review applications for the scholarship fund I created for non-traditional students. Tomorrow I'll mentor another young woman fighting to prove her worth. Tomorrow I'll continue building a life that needs no one's approval but my own. But tonight, I simply stand in my success, letting it fill my lungs like oxygen. The hurt teenager inside me finally exhales, knowing she was always worthy. She just needed someone to believe in her. That someone turned out to be me. I stare at my laptop screen, blinking repeatedly as if the numbers might magically rearrange themselves. They don't. The balance that should read $53,000, my entire college fund, my safety net, my future, glares back at me with a mocking $0. My heartbeat drums in my ears. A cold sweat breaks across my forehead as my fingers hover above the keyboard, wondering if this is some kind of technical glitch. I refresh the page. The 0 remains. "No," I whisper to my empty Boston apartment. "No, no, no." The UTMA account my grandparents established when I was born, the one my father Gregory has managed since I was a child, the one that was supposed to carry me through my final year of architecture school at Boston University, it's empty. My hands tremble as I grab my phone from the coffee table. Outside my window, spring sunshine bathes the city in golden light that suddenly feels like a cruel joke. I punch in the familiar Columbus area code, my father's number memorized since childhood. 1 ring, 2 rings. "Milani!" His voice booms through the speaker with its usual confidence. "How's my college girl?" I swallow hard, struggling to push words past the knot in my throat. "Dad, I'm looking at my UTMA account. It's empty." A pause. Just long enough to confirm this isn't news to him. Oh, that. His tone shifts, not to guilt or remorse, but to something casual, dismissive. Yeah, I had to move some things around. Just borrowed it for a stock opportunity. Great timing, actually market's prime for investment. The room tilts slightly. I grip the edge of my desk to steady myself. You borrowed $53,000 without telling me? Listen, honey, it's not a big deal. You're smart, you'll figure it out. Take a semester off, get one of those modeling jobs they're always offering you. You don't need to worry about this. The dismissal in his voice ignites something inside me, burning through the shock. That money was for my education, I say, my voice unrecognizable even to myself. Grandma and Grandpa set it up specifically for college. You can't just take it. Milani, he sighs, as if I'm a child who doesn't understand basic arithmetic. Family helps family. This is a fantastic opportunity that will benefit all of us. I close my eyes, suddenly seeing with perfect clarity the neighborhood barbecues, where my father held court, our modest colonial home in Columbus, that he took credit for maintaining. In reality, it was my mother Helen who preserved our respectable facade, working herself to exhaustion with double shifts days as a cashier at Robertson's Grocery, nights waiting tables at Finley's Diner. All while Gregory Wilson played the role of devoted family man, community leader, PTA treasurer. The role. It was always just a role. Dad, I need that money back. Now. I have tuition due in 3 weeks. Don't be so dramatic, he snaps, his patience clearly wearing thin. You're 24 years old. Time to stand on your own 2 feet instead of expecting handouts. My laugh sounds hollow. Handouts? That was my money. Legally, my money. Look, I've got a meeting. We'll talk later. The line goes dead. I stare at my phone in disbelief, my hand trembling so violently now that I nearly drop it. I take 3 deep breaths before calling him back. He answers on the 4th ring, annoyance evident. What, Milani? You need to put that money back. Today. My voice sounds stronger now, fueled by rising anger. Family matters more than money, he replies, his tone hardening. Maybe it's time you quit wasting your time with school anyway. With your looks, you could be making real money modeling. Use what God gave you instead of racking up more student debt. The suggestion lands like a slap. 4 years of architectural studies, Dean's List achievements, a portfolio that already impressed 2 firms reduced to how I might look in front of a camera. I'm not quitting school, I tell him, tears threatening but held firmly in check. And I'm not using my looks instead of my brain. I need my money back. I'm hanging up now, he says coldly. Call me when you're thinking more clearly about what's important. The line goes silent again. This time, I don't call back. Instead, I open my banking app and request all statements from the past year. Within minutes, they load on my screen, and the systematic betrayal reveals itself in black and white. January 3. Withdrawal. $2,500. January 17. Withdrawal. $3,000. February 2. Withdrawal. $2,500. The pattern continues small enough withdrawals to avoid triggering alerts, spaced carefully over 8 weeks. Calculated. Deliberate. The final withdrawal, $3,000 on March 28, emptied the account completely. My research takes me deeper, to financial websites explaining UTMA accounts. The Uniform Transfers to Minors Act funds should have transferred completely to my control at age 21. For 3 years, he's maintained illegal access, feeding me the story that his name needed to remain on the account for tax purposes. The room feels suddenly smaller, the walls closing in as I recognize the magnitude of his deception. The man who lectured me about responsibility and integrity since childhood had been systematically stealing from me, his own daughter. The trust between us, already fragile from years of broken promises, doesn't just crack, it shatters completely. I wipe a single tear from my cheek and open my laptop again. This betrayal cannot stand. Not anymore. I have final exams in 2 weeks, an internship interview the week after, and absolutely no safety net. But I have something my father clearly doesn't count on, the truth, documented in black and white, and a determination that suddenly burns hotter than any fear. Have you ever discovered someone you trusted completely was deceiving you? How did your body react in that moment? The next day, the bus from Boston to Columbus takes nearly 15 hours. I spend most of it staring at farmland in small towns through a smudged window, rehearsing conversations in my head that I doubt will ever happen. What do you say to a father who stole your future? I arrive at the Greyhound station just after 6 in the evening. No one's waiting for me. I didn't tell them exactly when I'd arrive, partly because bus schedules are unreliable, but mostly because I wanted these first hours back in Columbus to be mine alone. The familiar weight of Ohio summer humidity wraps around me as I walk the 12 blocks to our modest colonial in Bexley. Each step feels heavier than the last. My phone buzzes with a text from Mom. Dinner at 7. Your favorite lasagna. The house looks smaller somehow. The blue shutters faded from years of harsh Midwestern weather. I pause at the end of our concrete walkway, studying the trimmed hedges and the ceramic birdbath Mom bought at a garage sale 10 years ago. The perfect picture of middle-class respectability. What a lie. Dad's silver Buick sits in the driveway, gleaming under the early evening Sunday. He must have washed it this weekend, always keeping up appearances. Mom answers the door before I can use my key, pulling me into a hug that smells like tomato sauce and the lavender lotion she's used since I was little. There's my college girl, she says, her smile genuine but her eyes tired. So tired. She's coming off a morning shift at Robertson's, and I know she'll be heading to Finley's Diner by 9 tonight. Your father's in the dining room setting the table. I force a smile. Great. Dad stands taller when I enter, his arms outstretched for a hug I reluctantly step into. Milani, look at you, Boston's turned you into a real sophisticated lady. I pull away quickly. It's only been a semester since Christmas, Dad. Well, you look different. He gestures to the table where 3 plates await. Your mother's outdone herself with dinner. 1. I watch him carefully, searching for signs of guilt or shame. There aren't any. Instead, he pulls out my chair with a flourish, just like he's done since I was old enough to sit at the adult table. The perfect father act. During dinner, Mom asks about finals and my internship interview. I answer mechanically while studying Dad as he cuts his lasagna into precise squares, occasionally dabbing his mouth with a napkin. He looks exactly the same, confident, collected. The respected office administrator, PTA treasurer, neighborhood barbecue host. Financial responsibility is what separates successful people from failures, he announces halfway through dinner, unprompted. I was just telling your mother, with inflation these days, you need to be extra careful with your money. The lasagna turns to ash in my mouth. I set my fork down carefully. Is that right? I manage. Absolutely. I've been reading about sound investment strategies. The key is knowing when to seize opportunities. Mom nods, too exhausted to recognize the irony. I bite my tongue until I taste blood. After dinner, Dad announces he has a work meeting and disappears. Mom loads the dishwasher despite my protests that she should rest before her next shift. I'll just lie down for an hour, she promises, her shoulders slumped with fatigue. There's pie in the fridge if you want dessert later. Once she's upstairs, I wait 15 minutes, listening to the house settle around me. Then I move silently to Dad's office off the living room. The door isn't locked, why would it be? In this house, Dad's word has always been law. His space is respected without question. Until now. The room smells of his sandalwood aftershave. A Columbus Dispatch lies folded on his desk next to a mug that reads, World's Greatest Dad. I start with the desk drawers, finding nothing but office supplies and old checkbooks. The file cabinet reveals tax returns, warranty information, and insurance policies all meticulously organized. I'm beginning to think I've made a mistake when I spot his navy jacket hanging on the back of the door. My fingers shake slightly as I reach into the pockets. Right pocket, car keys, a half roll of mints. Left pocket, folded paper, several slips. My heart pounds as I flatten them on the desk. Casino chip receipts from River West Casino. One for $500, another for $1,000, a third for $2,500. All dated within the past month. The truth hits me like a physical blow. He didn't invest my college fund in stocks. He gambled it away. I sink into his desk chair, documents spread before me. With newfound determination, I turn to his computer. The password takes 3 tries, my birth date, Mom's birth date, finally their anniversary, and I'm in. His browser history has been cleared, but his email remains logged in. I search for River West and find promotional offers, VIP invitations, special events, dozens of them, going back months. The printer in the corner whirs to life as I print select emails. Then I find his credit card statement in a folder marked Finances Personal. My hands grow cold as I scan the transactions. ATM withdrawal, River West Casino, $300. ATM withdrawal, River West Casino, $500. ATM withdrawal, River West Casino, $750. The pattern stretches back page after page. I print these too. In his wallet, tucked in a hidden compartment behind his driver's license, I find a plastic card with gold lettering. River West Casino, Diamond Club member, the highest tier of their loyalty program. The sound of footsteps on the stairs sends me into frantic motion. I slip everything back where I found it, except for the papers I've printed, which I fold and tuck into my pocket. I've just closed the browser window when Mom appears in the doorway. "Thought you might like some tea," she says, holding out a steaming mug. Her hands are red and cracked around the knuckles, the nails cut short for practical reasons. Working hands. Honest hands. "Thanks, Mom." I take the mug, guilt and rage warring inside me. "Everything okay? You've seemed quiet tonight." I force a smile. "Just tired from the trip." She nods, accepting this simple explanation, because that's who she is trusting, never looking for deception. I should start getting ready for my shift. The front door opens before she can leave, and Dad's voice booms through the house. "Helen? Is there any of that lasagna left?" "In the fridge, Gregory," she calls back. He appears in the doorway moments later, stopping short when he sees me at his desk. His eyes narrow slightly, then reset to their normal jovial expression. "Studying in my office? The lighting's better in here than the living room, isn't it?" "I was just checking email," I lie, watching his face carefully. His eyes flick to the computer screen, then to the desk surface. "Find everything you need?" "Actually, yes." I hold his gaze. I found exactly what I was looking for. Something shifts in his expression, so subtle an observer less motivated than me might miss it. Wariness. Calculation. "Good to hear," he says, his voice carefully casual. He turns to Mom. "You heading to work soon? Want me to warm up the car?" "I've got time," she says. "Milani and I were just chatting." Dad's phone buzzes. He glances at it, then back at us. "I need to take this. Work stuff." He steps into the hallway, closing the door behind him. Mom sighs. "Always working, that one. I don't know how he keeps up the pace." I take a sip of tea to keep from telling her exactly how he spends his working hours. Not yet. Not until I'm sure. When she leaves to change for her shift, I pull out my phone and text Aunt Alicia. "Need to talk. Legal question. Can you video call tomorrow at 2? Her response comes quickly. "Of course. Everything okay?" I stare at the cracked ceiling of my childhood bedroom, the weight of those casino receipts burning in my pocket. "No," I text back. "But it will be." Later that night, I'm reading in bed when Dad knocks on my door. Without waiting for an answer, he pushes it open, leaning against the frame with arms crossed. "I noticed you were in my office earlier," he says, voice low, looking through my things. I set my book down. I found the casino receipts. A flash of anger crosses his face before he composes himself. "Those weren't mine. I was holding them for a coworker." "Really? And the Diamond Club membership card? The ATM withdrawals? The VIP emails? All for a coworker?" "You had no right to go through my personal items," he snaps, defensive now. "What I do with my money is my business." "It wasn't your money," I say, voice shaking with rage. "It was mine. My college fund that Grandma and Grandpa set up. The one you emptied for your gambling addiction." "Keep your voice down," he hisses, glancing toward the hallway. "Your mother doesn't need to hear your wild accusations." "Wild accusations? I have proof, Dad. Printed copies of everything." Something dangerous flickers in his eyes. "You're making a mistake, Milani." "No," I reply, my voice steady now. "The mistake was trusting you with my future." He stares at me for a long moment, then leaves without another word, closing the door firmly behind him. I wait until his footsteps fade before pulling out my phone again. I text Aunt Alicia. "Change of plans. Need to make it a 3-way call with Mom, and I need you to bring everything you know about UTMA laws." I spend the night organizing the evidence into a clear timeline. The betrayal, the systematic theft, the deliberate deception. Tomorrow, the 3 of us will talk, and my father's years of lies will finally come to light. Would you confront a family member who stole from you? Or try to preserve family peace? What would be at stake for you? 2 days later, the fluorescent lights of Aunt Alicia's law office cast harsh shadows across stacks of documents. Her normally tidy desk had transformed into command central, legal pads covered with notes, tabs marking critical pages in financial records. Her fingers flew over the keyboard, punctuating each sentence with a forceful tap. "The custodial breach is clear-cut," she muttered, not looking up as I entered with 2 coffee cups. What Gregory did wasn't just morally wrong, it was illegal. I set her coffee beside her keyboard, black with 1 sugar, just as she'd taken it since law school. The scent of fresh coffee mingled with the sterile office air. Through the window behind her, Columbus stretched gray and overcast, matching my mood. "Will it hold up?" I asked, my voice steadier than the trembling cup in my hand. Dad's always been good at talking his way out of trouble. Alicia finally looked up, her eyes so much like my mother's narrowing with determination. "Charm doesn't work in court documentation, honey. Numbers tell the truth when people won't." She swiveled her monitor to show me a formal letter, the language cold and precise. The words, "demand for immediate restitution and breach of fiduciary duty" jumped from the page. "This goes out today. Certified mail." She handed me a copy. "No more talking, no more chances. We've moved beyond that." I nodded, running my finger along the edge of the paper. "How's Mom doing with her attorney?" "Linda's the best divorce lawyer in the state. Your mother brought 20 years of financial records." A small, fierce smile crossed Alicia's face. "Helen Wilson may have been quiet all these years, but she kept receipts, literal and figurative." That evening, Alicia's kitchen transformed into our war room. The oak table where I'd eaten countless holiday dinners now held legal documents, bank statements, and 3 mugs of tea. Mom sat across from me, her waitress uniform exchanged for a simple blouse, her hands finally still after a day without serving others. "I found these in the attic," Mom said, pushing a shoebox toward me. Inside were faded bank statements from before I was born. "Your father's gambling isn't new. I thought he'd stopped when we had you." Aunt Alicia spread the papers in chronological order. "This establishes pattern. It matters. It matters." I watched my mother's face, the resignation there slowly hardening into something else, determination maybe. Or anger finally allowed to surface after years of suppression. "I worked double shifts for 20 years. Mom said quietly. "I thought I was helping build something. Our home, your education." Her voice caught. "All while he was." She didn't finish. Alicia reached across the table, covering Mom's hand with hers. "Being family doesn't mean escaping accountability." Mom nodded, shoulders straightening. "No, it doesn't." 2 days later, Dad received Aunt Alicia's letter at Midwest Insurance Associates, where he'd managed the office for 15 years. I wasn't there to see his face, but his reaction arrived in my voicemail within hours. "Milani, this is ridiculous." His voice sounded strained, none of the usual confidence. "You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Call me. We need to talk about this legal nonsense." I didn't call back. The next message came that night. "This is your father. I raised you better than this. I only borrowed that money for our family. Everything I've ever done was for this family. Call me." The third message arrived at midnight, his voice slurred and angry. "You think you can threaten me? With lawyers? I'm your father. I changed your diapers. I drove you to school. I supported your ridiculous architecture dreams when you could have done something practical. This is how you repay me? By humiliating me?" I played the messages for Mom and Alicia the next morning. Mom's face paled, then flushed with anger. "Those dreams weren't ridiculous," she said. "You were drawing buildings before you could write your name." That afternoon, my phone rang with Cousin Margot's number. "Your dad called us," she said without preamble. "He says you're trying to ruin him over some misunderstanding about college money." "What did you tell him?" I asked, pulse quickening. "That he should pay you back what he took." Margot's voice hardened. "Then he said you were being dramatic and ungrateful, that you've always been his difficult child." That's when I hit record on my phone. The recording she sent captured my father's desperate lies, each one more elaborate than the last. How I'd agreed to the loan. How I'd spent the money myself and was blaming him. How my mother had mental problems and couldn't be trusted. That night, Mom called me after her shift at Finley's diner. Her voice sounded strange, hollow yet somehow stronger. "I broke down tonight," she said, right in the middle of serving table 12 their meatloaf special. "Mom, I'm so sorry." "Don't be. Something had changed in her voice. Brenda from the kitchen sat me down in the break room, then Loretta joined us, then Mike from the grill. I pictured the diner staff, the people who'd watched me grow up during visits to Mom's workplace, surrounding her with support. They've seen it all these years. Mom continued. How tired I was. How your father never came to my workplace events, but expected me at all of his. How he'd drop by to borrow cash from my tips. I heard a soft tinkling sound through the phone. What was that? I asked. My wedding ring. I just took it off. The barest hint of wonder colored her voice. 26 years, and it slides right off like it was never meant to stay. I pressed my hand against my mouth, tears threatening. I'm wiping tables right now. She continued matter-of-factly, with bare hands. Do you know how strange that feels? Like I've been wearing invisible gloves all these years. The next morning, Dad found himself locked out of the family home. Mom had changed the locks overnight with help from Mike from the diner. His key cards to their joint accounts no longer worked. Alicia had made sure of that as soon as the demand letter went out. He's been calling neighbors. Mom told me during our morning check-in, telling them I'm having a breakdown, that you've turned against him. Does anyone believe him? Martha next door told him she'd seen his car at River West Casino enough times to know who was having problems. Mom's laugh held no humor. People aren't as blind as we think. Dad's carefully constructed image was crumbling. The PTA treasurer who'd given stern lectures about fiscal responsibility. The neighborhood barbecue host who'd complained about those people who can't manage money. The father who'd taught me to balance a checkbook at 12. All while systematically stealing from his own daughter's future. You're going back to Boston tomorrow. Aunt Alicia told me that evening, passing me a printout of my flight confirmation. I'll handle things here. But the legal proceedings will take months. You need to focus on finishing your degree. Her expression softened slightly. That's the best revenge, you know. Succeeding despite him. I looked at the flight information, then at my mother sitting quietly at the kitchen table, her bare ring finger occasionally touched by her opposite hand, as if confirming its freedom. I can't afford to finish without that money, I said. You'll get it back, Alicia said, the same iron certainty in her voice that had won her countless cases. Every penny, plus interest. I've already filed the emergency injunction. Mom looked up. And I'm selling the dining room set. Your father insisted we couldn't live without. It should cover your books for next semester. Mom looked up the dining room. I stared at these two women, their faces so similar yet marked by different lives, one who'd fought openly, one who'd endured quietly, both now refusing to bend. Something unfamiliar unfurled in my chest. Not just determination, I'd always had that. This was bigger. The certainty that came from knowing I wasn't fighting alone. Okay, I said, straightening my shoulders. I'll finish my degree, and Dad will face consequences for once in his life. Mom nodded, a single tear tracking down her cheek. Some things matter more than peace, honey. Some fights are worth having. Outside, Columbus prepared for evening, streetlights flickering to life one by one. Tomorrow I'd be back in Boston, back to models and blueprints and the future I refused to surrender. Behind me would be these women, my real foundation, stronger than any architecture I'd ever design. A month later, the Ohio courthouse looms before me, all sandstone and solemnity. My fingers tremble slightly as I smooth my charcoal pencil skirt, professional armor against the betrayal awaiting inside. Aunt Alicia walks beside me, briefcase swinging with purposeful rhythm, her heels clicking a confident beat against the marble steps. Ready? She asks, her hand warm on my shoulder. I nod, not trusting my voice. Through the heavy wooden doors, past security, down a corridor that smells of furniture, polish, and faded dreams, I spot him immediately. Dad sits with his attorney, head bent in conversation. He wears his Sunday suit, the one reserved for impressing people, and his practiced expression of concerned fatherhood. The mask I once believed without question. Our eyes lock across the room, his flash with momentary panic before settling into righteous indignation. All rise. The bailiff calls, and we stand as Judge Harriman enters, her silver hair cut in a practical bob, reading glasses perched on her nose. Wilson versus Wilson, she announces, scanning the documents before her. Custodial account dispute. Dad's attorney speaks first. Mr. Bentley, silver-haired and silver-tongued, rises with theatrical gravity. Your Honor, this is merely a family misunderstanding. He begins, voice dripping with reasonableness. My client was acting in what he believed to be the family's best interest during a temporary financial challenge. I swallow hard, tasting bitterness. The word temporary hangs in the air like poison. Aunt Alicia stands, her voice cool and precise. Your Honor, this was no misunderstanding. We have evidence of systematic withdrawal over an 8-week period, totaling exactly $53,000. This represents clear breach of fiduciary duty under the Uniform Transfers to Minors Act. She methodically presents our documentation: bank statements, text messages, recorded phone conversations where Dad admits taking the money. With each piece of evidence, Judge Harriman's expression hardens. Mr. Wilson, she finally says, peering over her glasses at my father, these withdrawals appear deliberate and calculated. What explanation do you offer the court? Dad rises, straightening his tie. The gesture so familiar it makes my chest ache despite everything. Your Honor, I've always put family first. He begins, voice steady with practiced sincerity. This money was going to be invested for Milani's future, a better return than just sitting in an account. And where are these investments now, Mr. Wilson? Judge Harriman asks. Dad shifts his weight. There were some unexpected market fluctuations. The judge's eyebrow arches. I see. An hour later, we sit in the settlement conference room. A court mediator presides over our small group, Dad and his attorney on one side, Aunt Alicia and me on the other. No friendly family dinner this. I can offer $15,000 now, Dad says, leaning forward. The rest in installments over 5 years. Aunt Alicia doesn't even glance at me before responding. Full repayment plus 5% interest, non-negotiable. Dad's face flushes. That's unreasonable. I don't have that kind of money. Then, wage garnishment is the alternative. The mediator explains, her tone neutral but firm. Federal law permits garnishment of up to 25% of disposable earnings until the debt is satisfied. You'll ruin me financially, Dad says, looking directly at me for the first time. His eyes hold genuine fear. The words rise from somewhere deep inside me, quiet but unwavering. Like you tried to ruin my future? He flinches as if I'd slapped him. Later that afternoon, we attend the preliminary hearing for Mom's divorce case, held in the same courthouse but a different courtroom. Dad's face has lost its confident glow, replaced by a grayish pallor as Mom's attorney presents evidence of mortgage fraud and credit cards opened in her name without consent. Mrs. Wilson worked 2 jobs believing her income was supporting her daughter's education, the attorney states. Instead, Mr. Wilson was systematically diverting funds to gambling activities while creating unauthorized debt in his wife's name. Dad's desperate response, Helen knew everything, falls flat, as Mom's attorney presents years of falsified financial statements. The judge doesn't bother hiding his disgust. This court finds clear evidence of financial misconduct. Mom sits 3 seats away from me, her hands folded neatly in her lap. When the judge announces his finding, her shoulders drop slightly, as if releasing a burden carried too long. Back in the first courtroom, Judge Harriman approves our settlement terms with brisk efficiency. Full repayment of $53,000 plus 5% interest. Direct wage assignment from Dad's paycheck. Federal garnishment of 25% of his disposable income until the debt is paid. The court finds the defendant in clear breach of fiduciary duty. She states, this settlement represents the minimum consequence for such violation of trust. I watch Dad's face as reality crashes through his carefully constructed defenses. His mouth opens slightly, eyes widening with genuine shock. He truly believed he would escape consequences. That his charm would save him, as it always had before. Outside on the courthouse steps, spring sunshine warms my face, but brings no joy. I've won, but victory tastes hollow. Aunt Alicia squeezes my hand. You did the right thing, she says quietly. I nod, watching Dad emerge from the building, shoulders hunched, attorney whispering urgently beside him. He looks older suddenly, diminished. I know, I reply, turning away. But doing the right thing still hurts. What price would you put on trust and honesty in your family? Is there a dollar amount that's too small to fight for when principles are at stake? 4 crimson tickets lie flat on my kitchen table, each representing a seat at tomorrow's Boston University architecture school graduation. I run my finger along the embossed university seal, feeling the weight of my decision with each pass. 4 tickets, I whisper to my empty apartment. The late afternoon sun filters through my blinds, casting stripes across the neatly arranged rectangles. I've already decided who deserves to witness this moment. I fought so hard to reach. Mom, Aunt Alicia, and my two closest friends, Sophia and Trevor. Not Gregory Wilson. Not the man who almost destroyed this future. My phone buzzes with an incoming text. Dad's name appears on the screen. His 5th message today. When should I book my flight? Need to request time off work. The casual presumption in his words ignites a familiar heat in my chest. I take a deep breath and type my response. I only have 4 tickets. I've allocated them to Mom, Aunt Alicia, Sophia, and Trevor. I won't be able to accommodate you at the ceremony. His response comes almost instantly. This is ridiculous. I'm your father. Of course I'll be there. I place my phone screen down on the table, my hand trembling slightly. 6 months since the court order. 6 months of wage garnishment payments trickling into my account. 6 months of his alternating guilt trips and demands for gratitude because he's making things right. My phone lights up again with multiple messages. You wouldn't even have a graduation without me. I worked for years to support your education. What will people think when your father isn't there? The last one almost makes me laugh. What would people think if they knew the truth? That he gambled away my college fund? That a court had to force him to repay what he stole? I silence my phone and return to packing my graduation cap and gown. The morning of graduation dawns bright and clear. Boston sparkles beneath an impossibly blue May sky as Mom and Aunt Alicia arrive at my apartment with coffee and pastries. Oh, honey, look at you, Mom says, her eyes already welling with tears. She looks different now, lighter somehow, despite the new wrinkles around her eyes. The divorce proceedings finished last month, and freedom suits her. Stop it, Helen, you'll make your makeup run before we even get to the ceremony. Aunt Alicia says, but her voice is gentle. She hands me a garment bag. Your robe might wrinkle if you carry it. Let me hang this up for you. In the hotel room, Mom sits me down at the vanity mirror. From her purse, she removes a small velvet box. This was your grandmother's, she says, opening it to reveal a delicate silver pendant shaped like an architect's compass. She wore it when she worked as a draftsman in the 60s. Not many women did that work back then. I touch the pendant gently. I didn't know she was in architecture. She wasn't allowed to advance, Mom says, clasping it around my neck. But she would be so proud of where you've gone with your talent. The pendant rests cool against my skin as tears threaten. I stand and hug her tightly. Thank you for everything. I whisper against her hair, breathing in her familiar scent of grocery store hand lotion and coffee. You did this yourself, she says firmly, despite everything. A knock at the door announces Sophia and Trevor, arms loaded with flowers and a handmade banner that reads, Melanie Wilson, Architect Extraordinaire. The procession of graduates feels surreal. Hundreds of us in identical robes and mortarboards, marching across the quad toward the ceremony pavilion. Parents and friends line the walkways, snapping photos and waving. I scan the crowd, spotting Mom, Aunt Alicia, Sophia, and Trevor in their designated seats, their faces beaming with genuine pride. Then I see him. Gregory Wilson stands at the entrance to the seating area, his face tense with determination. He wears a new suit probably bought for the occasion, and holds a bouquet of roses so large it looks absurd in his hands. My step falters momentarily, but the procession keeps moving, carrying me forward. I watch in horror as he pushes toward the student seating section, ignoring the usher asking to see his ticket. That's my daughter, he announces loudly, pointing toward me. Melanie Wilson, she only made it because of my sacrifices. Heads turn, whispers ripple through the crowd. My face burns with embarrassment as I continue the procession, unable to stop or hide. Sir, you need a ticket, I hear the usher saying firmly. I'm her father. Gregory's voice rises above the murmur of the crowd. I deserve to be here. I paid for all this. From my position in line, I see Aunt Alicia rise from her seat, her attorney's poise evident even from this distance. She intercepts Gregory in the aisle with remarkable speed. You don't have a ticket, she says, her voice calm but carrying clearly. You don't belong here. Get out of my way, Alicia, Gregory hisses, loud enough for nearby rows to hear. I deserve the front row as her proud father. No, Aunt Alicia stands firm. You were expressly not invited. 2 security officers approach, their manner professional but uncompromising. Sir, the taller one says, we need to see your ticket, or we'll have to ask you to leave. This is ridiculous. Gregory's voice rises further, drawing more attention. That's my daughter. I'm entitled to see her graduate. Sir, the officer repeats. Leave now or we'll escort you out. Do you know who I am? Gregory demands, his face reddening. I'm Gregory Wilson. I've sacrificed everything for that girl. Without me, she wouldn't even be here. The security officers exchange a glance, then each takes one of Gregory's arms. No, this is outrageous. He struggles against their grip. Milani, tell them who I am. Tell them I'm your father. I stand frozen in line, mortified as hundreds of eyes swing between the commotion and me. My classmates shuffle uncomfortably. One friend squeezes my elbow in silent support. Security begins physically moving Gregory toward the exit. He continues shouting about his rights as a parent, his voice growing more desperate with each step. You can't do this to me. I'm her father. I've done everything for her. As they finally remove him from the pavilion, an unexpected sensation washes over me. Not the crushing embarrassment I anticipated, but something lighter. Relief. The truth of our relationship laid bare for all to witness. No more pretense, no more masks. I catch my mother's eye across the crowd. Her face shows concern, but when I give her a small nod, she visibly relaxes. Aunt Alicia returns to her seat, smoothing her skirt with steady hands that betray no tremor of distress. The ceremony continues. When they call my name, I walk across the stage with my head high, accepting my diploma as cheers erupt from my 4 true supporters. For the first time, I realize that family isn't defined by obligation or blood. It's built through honesty, respect, and showing up when it matters. The 4 people who earned those tickets understand that. And in this moment of triumph, my name echoing across the loudspeakers, my hard-earned degree in hand, I finally understand it too. Have you ever had to establish a boundary with a loved one who betrayed you? How did it feel in that moment? A month later, the candlelight flickers across the faces of my dinner companions at Luciano's, one of Boston's hidden culinary gems. My mother Helen's tired eyes now sparkle with newfound vitality. Aunt Alicia raises her glass of Pinot Noir, her attorney persona softened by genuine pride. To Milani, she announces, her voice carrying over the restaurant's gentle hum, who didn't just earn her architecture degree, she fought for her future and won. My 2 closest friends, Jenna and Taylor, clink their glasses against mine. Their unwavering support carried me through those desperate nights when I questioned whether I'd make it to this moment. I never doubted you. Mom says, reaching across to squeeze my hand. Not for 1 second. The truth hangs unspoken between us how different this celebration is from the elaborate parties my father would orchestrate, events designed to showcase his generosity rather than my accomplishments. Those gatherings were never about me. I have something to say, I announce, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. I raise my glass toward the circle of women who formed my safety net when everything collapsed. Without you, I might have given up. You didn't just help me recover what was taken. You showed me what real support looks like. The moisture in Mom's eyes catches the light as she smiles. Jenna leans forward, her architectural portfolio peeking from her bag. Speaking of real support, tell them about Westfield and Reed. I feel warmth spread across my cheeks. I accepted their offer yesterday. Junior designer. Starting next month. The table erupts in cheers loud enough to draw glances from nearby diners. And I continue once the celebration quiets. I signed a lease on that apartment near the Commons, the one with the breakfast nook perfect for drafting. My mother's expression shifts subtly. Is it affordable? Every penny is mine, I assure her. My salary covers it comfortably. What I don't mention is how I've calculated the budget down to the dollar, factoring in the garnished payments from Gregory's wages that have begun appearing in my account. The first one arrived yesterday, $1,273.62 with a cold transaction number where a father's love should be. Your turn, Mom. I say, deflecting attention. Tell them about your new place. She straightens. A quiet confidence, replacing the exhaustion that once seemed permanent. Just a small apartment near Robertson's, but the windows face east. Morning sunshine, her voice strengthens. And one job now, just one. The divorce papers were finalized Tuesday, Aunt Alicia adds, lifting her glass again. To new beginnings for both Wilson women. Sunday morning arrives with gentle spring sunshine streaming through my windows. The phone rings, and Mom's name lights up my screen. Just checking in, she says, her voice carrying a lightness I'm still getting used to. Our conversation meanders comfortably until she falls quiet for a moment. I should have seen the signs years ago, Milani. Her voice drops to nearly a whisper. All those late nights he claimed were work meetings. He fooled us both, Mom, I interrupt gently. Remember when he convinced us he needed that new leather briefcase for client meetings? And we found it stuffed with candy wrappers in the garage 3 months later. She finishes, a small laugh escaping her. The sound of her laughter heals something in me I hadn't realized was still broken. Later, I walk through Boston Common, my steps light despite the weight of everything behind me. Students sprawl across the grass, textbooks open to catch the spring sunshine. A young woman struggles ahead of me, arms wrapped around a stack of architecture textbooks that threatens to topple. I quicken my pace, catching a heavy volume as it slides from her grip. Structural Engineering Principles. I read from the cover, smiling. Second year? She nods gratefully. These weigh a ton. Mind if I help? I'm headed this direction anyway. As we walk, I see myself in her determined expression. That evening, I sit at my small desk, confirmation email open on my laptop. My new savings account with its triple verification security measures stares back at me. I transfer my first deposit, watching the numbers climb from 0 each digit representing security I've built for myself. My phone buzzes with a text. Gregory's name appears with the first line visible. Milani, you need to reconsider this whole legal. I swipe it away without reading further, turning instead to the design sketches for my first professional project. He thought stealing my money would steal my future. Instead, his betrayal made me stronger.